while visiting the district of Nakasongola upon invitation to address the continued land eviction in the area.
The Minister for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Judith Nabakoba, has engaged in Nakasongola district residents on issues of pending land evictions. Former Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Engineer John Byabagambi, is allegedly the landlord itching to evict these residents.
Landlord baliko mukaga era yo problem na igeri wekitiba Byabagambi simanyi sete je bamuwako zimala kwa twayogerangako naye nga tuli mu parliament naye ndo zabayinza okuba bamuwako milioni eziwera olukaga nga kyabanje ndale zikoze ekye zisigadde ate kakati amawulire agongera okujja nti ate yalina fraud ate kakati biyimiriddawo.
The first engagement was held at Mairikiti Primary School.
Era okidde mu kiseera eky'abantu amaziga gye bagakaabira nnyo. Nakasongola kutafana bitundu birala byonna fe tuli ku mataka agaba absentee landlords. Ekintu ekyo kyawa ba fraudster omulimu ogw'okukyusa ebyapa ebyabannannyini nefuuka ebyabwe ne batuguza.
Local leaders fought the area district land officers, police and the judiciary for siding with land grabbers in the area.
Tulina challenge eya courts. Ettaka lyogenda okutuuka keri ekiswerwa libakwandikirako ze bantwala mu kooti n'ab'ebibanja and we were helpless. Ne batudefeatingirayo.
And those who own the land, who want still land, they have the money. The money that they would have used for paying to buy land, they use it in court.
But one way which I see that can help us to streamline the processes in the registry is 100% automation of the systems. Because if systems are automated, definitely if somebody is trying to duplicate a title, then definitely an alert will come and they will know that there is another transaction which is trying to take place.
They now want government to bail them out using the land fund.
Now, the way forward, it's only government to come in, give Nakasongola priority and pay off all the landowners.
On her way to Chigejo, Nabakoba met a section of residents whose land was recently fenced off by one investor.
Kati embeera eri kiswerwa kati nga tusaba abantu b'ekiswerwa gavumenti yaffe ennungi nnyo ya NRM etugwire ku ttaka ennyawo omudagazi wampadde esobola okutegeeza.
Residents of Chigejo, Kayebe, Chibanja, Dagala, among others, are also living in fear of being evicted. Like it is the case in Mairikiti, where government had partly paid off the landlords in Chigejo, though one Nicholas Jemba received cash from government to surrender his land to the occupants, eviction notices are now being issued.
Batugamba nti bagenda bagala kutugugira ate batugamba nti gavumenti yatugulira ettaka naye n'ettaka gavumenti yatugulira tetulaba.
Nicholas Jemba want government to pay him once and for all. The people of Chigejo get their titles and they sit peacefully.
Even the leaders will be held accountable not to allow any more transactions to take place because the owner has agreed to sell that piece of land to government.
The minister warned against any further land evictions in the district.
Then the security has to put a firm stand and make sure that the population is protected because that's what His Excellency wants. He wants all Ugandans to be happy.
Police and army personnel attended the briefing. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Well, we pray that it's not just promises, but indeed help comes on their way. In more stories, Morato district leadership is worried about residents' failure to observe COVID-19 SOPs like wearing masks, washing hands and social distancing. The district health officer, Dr. Hans Lokale, says they are challenged with residents who refuse to get COVID-19 tests.
Coronavirus continues to ravage communities across the country, including Karamoja sub-region. However, while in Moroto, it is abundantly clear that residents are not bothered about observing SOPs, social distance, and neither are they committed to wearing face masks. Though a number of business owners have tried to put up hand-washing facilities, it will seem that clients are less bothered about hand hygiene. Currently, Moroto has 10 people in ICU, 27 are on home-based care, while 15 have succumbed to COVID-19.
Vaccinated a total of 3,140 eligible persons. A small percentage of them have been those receiving the second dose. I think about 600 of them have received the second dose.
Moroto District Health Officer Dr. Hans Lokale says that there has been a reduction in infection cases, especially in the communities.
The villages are okay. We are not reporting any cases of COVID from our villages in the Manyatas because we prevented people from going there unnecessarily.
Lokale and the Deputy RDC Jacob Ojonga confirmed that people failing to observe SOPs is the greatest challenge affecting management of the spread of COVID-19.
These people who were managing from home under home-based care. Today you tell someone, you give them the instructions, the home. The next day you see them in the market. And these are responsible people.
On the outskirts, the rural part of Moroto, that is Nadunget, Tapache, and Nakiloro, Doktok, and Rupa, all those areas. Some of them come to town here even without masks. They don't have masks, most of those people, and that has been one of the challenges. They come from the villages, they go to the shops, the supermarkets, and that kind of things, and that has been one of the challenges. Then the second challenge that we still face is that compliance by the border borders has been so minimal that some border borders have occasionally been found carrying passengers, people, instead of carrying.
Dr. Lokale asserts that they are challenged by people who have refused to take the vaccine.
Of people not accepting the vaccine, and we will still engaging them on the benefits of the vaccine. The vaccine may have side effects, but the benefits of the vaccine outweigh the risks that they may have in their minds. So those who are fully vaccinated, those are good ambassadors. We are trying to use those who have taken the vaccine. They have not had any issues.
Moroto District Police Commander Abebi Aruhaya says over 70 people have been arrested, remanded, and some have been charged instantly.
Financial guidelines. Some people don't believe that corona is there. So we try by all means to tell them, to make it to them that if you have not lost a relative, thank God. But corona is real.
Locally adds that limited staff is another challenge since they can't monitor those on home-based care.
The team that does home-based care, they're not big enough, and they have worked for the last 1 year without any risk allowance. That's one of the challenges. And not every health worker is willing to deal with COVID-positive patients. They still have the fear.
Locale calls upon fellow medics to be keen while on duty to avoid contracting the virus.
Health workers to observe the SOPs, make sure they are wearing the double face mask. They have their hand sanitizer with them at all the times. If they must examine a patient, they should wear their gloves and dispose them off safely. We're also encouraging them to avoid crowding of patients who are coming to their facilities.
Over 55 vehicles were impounded, 40 people arrested, and 36 are arraigned in court. At least 4 million shillings has been received in instant penalties for violating SOPs since the second lockdown was instituted.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight. In more stories, a security sweep in Karamoja has led to the recovery of guns and magazines. The intelligence-led cordon and search operation combed Lomani village in Loletio sub-county, Kochido district for the lethal weapons. Over 50 suspects were arrested during the exercise and they're now detained at Kochido Army Barracks. Details follow.
Uganda Police Defence Forces have conducted a gun search operation in Nomania village, Kochido district. The early morning search operation harvested guns and ammunitions and suspects detained at Kochido Army Barracks.
After gathering information, we make sure that we have the guides and really it yields the results. Because this is not the first time when we launched this operation codenamed Usalama kwa Wote, we have been achieving using intelligence. And this is the only way that we can succeed. We cannot use any other means apart from intelligence, locating where these criminal groups are hiding. And this is what happened today. Must return. And this problem of Karamoja is for Karamojongo themselves. The Karamojongo problem, Karamojongo solution. Even this intelligence-led operation is done using the Karamojongo themselves.
After 2 hours of search with the help of one woman, they harvested 2 guns hidden in a kraal. The 3rd Division Commander, Brigadier General Joseph Barikudembe, explains that more intelligence-led operation will be conducted.
The better way is to hand over your weapons to government, because this is the preserve of the UPDF, the preserve of the army, that we are supposed to be the ones to handle the weapons of such a kind. So those ones who are still hiding, I want to warn them that before we catch up with them and they get heavier sentences, the only way is to surrender.
Brigadier General Barikudembe says suspected criminals will answer questions in regard to illegal possession of guns in the courts of law. However, the Commandant and Stock Theft Unit, Elias Kasirabo, says conducting forcefully gun recovery is hard but convenient. The LC5 chairman, Kotido District, Lotte Paul Komol, asked leaders in Karamoja sub-region to support the disarmament exercise.
Are doing the same thing. They are making sure that they talk to their sons and their daughters, and their husbands to their daughters, in returning back the gun, because it's very harmful.
He urged those with guns to surrender them. Brigadier Barikudembe promised that insecurity will end in Karamoja if residents cooperate with the forces. Those who surrendered guns to the forces were given voluntary disarmament certificates.
Protection of borders so that illegal guns don't enter the country. But we shall do our best to ensure that we disarm, both voluntarily and forcefully.
However, Loti asked government to help those who voluntarily surrendered their weapons. The woman councillor, Nakaperi Moru, Sub-County, Kotido District, Akol Grace Itai, says women are playing a big role in ensuring that peace returns to Karamoja. Ever since Usalam kwa Wote operation started in Kotido, several guns have been forcefully recovered from the Karamojong.
Residents of Kiriatete West in Hoima West Division have this morning woken up to a bad incident following the dumping of human remains at the gate of one of their residents. The casket has been dumped at gate of Tibemanya Amos, commonly known as Amos Electronics, who is a businessman in Hoima City. Iga reports.
Hoima residents are perturbed by bad-hearted persons who ostensibly dump human remains near people's residences. This follows a recent incident in which a child's body was dumped by unknown people in Kiriatete West Hoima West Division. Police officers from Hoima CPS are currently investigating the incident. The incident has raised mixed reactions from onlookers, as some were saying that it was business wrangles, while others said that Amos acquired his money from underground. Police had taken the casket. Some pastors came and prayed with some family members. So that Kai George Nyonzima, UBC.
In more news, civil society organizations want government to integrate voices of the young people in national policy formulations. The Executive Director, Gallup Initiative Uganda, Monica Nyiraguhabwa, says the COVID-19 lockdown continues to bite girls and young women hard and wants their concerns given attention.
Haromorach Fancy Shila, a lady in her early 20s, is pursuing her Bachelor of Laws degree from the Islamic University in Uganda. With a few months to complete her dream course, government announced a 42-day long lockdown that has caused more harm than good to many girls and young women. Since childhood, Sheila tells UBC her desire was to become the first lawyer in the family.
I should say I'm even still dreaming about it until I actually get the feel of I am a lawyer. But I want to say what was set for me as a young girl and a woman in my domestic setting at home drove me to want to be a lawyer and the need to actually be a lawyer. First, the expectation of you're a girl and you cannot do much. You're supposed to do nursing. You are supposed to be a secretary. You're supposed to be light to yourself. But then I'm like, no, I don't think that's what I want to be. I am a daring person. I love to test rough waters of life. I want to challenge myself every single time. So I'm like, the legal profession could be a great one.
She says this would later not only amplify her visibility, to be seen, but also her voice to be heard in society.
There is a great saying, you cannot be a representative of something you do not represent. And that can come from if I do not have a representative, meaning I'm not being heard. So if I'm not included in decisions that are being made, then I'm not being heard. If we as young girls and women are still seen as, you know, you're supposed to be at this level and not the other level, you cannot talk this much, you cannot, that's what I want to challenge. That's what I want to talk about. We can do it.
As a girl and young women rights advocate, my conversation with her at their home in Kiwatule was to get her views on the effects of COVID-19 among girls and women, especially in the light of increased teenage pregnancy.
There are countless number of young girls and women who want to access services, but they cannot. And even if they had the phone, many of the services that have been put on the online platform are pretty expensive. I do not earn. So this sends me as a young girl to think of ways of earning money, engaging in transactional sex, or doing something so that I can get money to access a service, get money to get food.
A report by the UN Children's Body UNICEF on the impact of COVID-19 lockdown among school-going girls and young women. In Uganda, it is indicated that between March 2020 and June 2021, there was 22.5% increase in teenage pregnancy among girls aged 10 to 24 seeking first antenatal care, from 80,653 to 98,810. Claire Kumu, a peer educator, says even before the lockdown, young girls, especially those with physical disabilities, have always had challenges of accessing sexual reproductive health services.
Society thinks we are too young to perhaps access contraceptives or pregnancy-related services. Yes, so because of this, you find very many young girls engaging in transactional sex and exposing themselves to very risky behaviors and even pregnancies. But because of the age discrimination, we cannot access these services. And it's even more difficult for girls with disabilities like myself. Yes, because society thinks that we should not feel this.
As a girls and young women rights advocate and a peer educator activist respectively, Sheila and Claire are now empowering young girls to realize their full potential under the She Leads campaign, spearheaded by Girl Up Initiative Uganda. They blame lawmakers for undermining youth's views.
And our voices, yes, we speak up and we are heard, but we are never taken seriously. No action is actually taken to follow up on what we are contributing or what we want to see them do for us, but rather stakeholders decide to make decisions on their own. We are not involved from the grassroots.
Even as you tell a girl, you tell her you actually have the ability to determine something for yourself or make a good decision. But then she's like, no, but I was told this. I was told I don't have to speak up. I have to always just listen. I can't talk back. I have to... Being respectful is being quiet.
The executive director, Girl Up Initiative Uganda, Monica Nyiraguhebwa, says getting the voices of girls and young women heard goes beyond having youth representation in parliament.
All we are saying is that people should appreciate that it's important that as we make policy, as you represent us in parliament, but are you listening to our voices, or are you assuming in terms of what we require?
Monica attributes challenges facing girls and women to negative gender social norms and believes in the She Leads campaign to change the narrative.
And therefore, we believe that rolling out this She Leads program we are able to add a unique approach to already what we are doing. We are hoping that by the end of this project, we shall be able to register key significant changes, because we are beginning to do things differently.
Gallup Initiative Uganda is a young women-led organization that provides young women and girls with opportunities to thrive as leaders in their communities through holistic education and economic empowerment programs. Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Well, thank you so much, Benejiga. Indeed, young voices should be listened to. We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with business news.
As the financial year 2020-2021 draws to an end, URA has put measures in place to facilitate taxpayers to file their returns and pay taxes within the set deadline. All our offices across the country and the URA Contact Center shall remain open to provide extra support to our esteemed taxpayers. Additionally, we have extended our contact center service hours from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Friday, and from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays and public holidays. In light of the COVID-19 risks, we encourage taxpayers to reach us through our improved contact center and other online platforms instead of making physical visits to our offices. For online support, please reach us through our toll-free lines 0800 117 000 or 0800 217 000. Email services@ura.go.ug. Website ura.go.ug. Social media: Facebook URA page, Twitter @URA Uganda. URA Customs Help Tool, help.ura.go.ug/login. URA appreciates all taxpayers who have duly fulfilled their obligations. Stay safe and let us all observe the standard operating procedures to prevent further spread of the COVID-19 virus. Stay safe as we develop Uganda together.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Echa COVID-19 kijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash your hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
In efforts to improve quality assurance and Uganda's competitiveness as a tourist destination, Uganda Tourism Board is set to undertake a nationwide grading and classification exercise of hotel and accommodation facilities. As a member of the East African community, Uganda subscribes to the East African Grading and Classification Criteria, a system denoted by stars ranging from 1 to 5. The grading and classification exercise will be crowned by the awarding of star ratings to facilities found compliant to the EAC minimum standards. This is therefore a call to all accommodation and facility owners and managers to register and get licensed by UTB as a requirement and get ready for participation. For more information, visit www.utb.go.ug or email qualityassurance@utb.go.ug for details. Uganda Tourism Board, promoting tourism together.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. In our business stories, engineers under AA Steel Constructions Limited have decried losses incurred in this lockdown period and are asking government to consider them as essential. Engineer Twaha Kenya has now requested government to enable them move to their respective places to construct buildings for them to be able to earn a living.
The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic-induced lockdown has affected the construction industry, thus affecting their well-being. This has prompted engineers under AS Steel Constructions Limited to ask for consideration as essential workers.
Because of the limits which they've given us, 2 weeks, and they give you the boundaries, Great Kampala, with some suburbs, we don't know where the suburbs are. Transportation becomes more expensive. Even transporting your own workers from one site to another. Like we engineers, you don't have to be on one site, you have to.
Bukenya attributed the increasing collapse of buildings in Kampala to the restrictions made against them during the lockdown and using unproven engineers.
I've been getting calls around, come and look at my building, sagging. Now who did this for you? I'm calling him, he doesn't appear. Where did you find him? Nowhere to be found. Well, that's the real problem, where it comes from. The technical know-how, how to do it in the right way. That's what they lack. Because you can't not take them back to school when they are working. They will just learn practically. But if it goes theoretically, because you have to make some calculations. So without the calculations, you can't go around it.
Bukenya says engineers are faced with several challenges due to COVID-19, but believes the situation will be better once the lockdown ends.
On a side note, Uganda's first ever female boxer at the Olympics, Catherine Nanzidi, has, despite losing to Japanese Namiki Tsukimi in an entertaining flyweight bout, bowed out with honor. Now, Nanzidi approached this game against the vastly experienced Japanese with care and showed signs of causing an upset against a boxer whose record of 15 fights and 12 wins dwarfs Nanzidi's 3 fights and 1 win. The Japanese dominated the fight and was a justifiable and unanimous points winner over Nanzidi, who got no favor from any of the 5 judges. Next up for Uganda at the 32nd Olympiad is middleweight boxer David Semuju against Algeria's Younis Anemechi on Monday.
Match today, 2050, and it was quite tough because I did compete with a person who's more experienced and has more exposure more than me. And I do feel proud of myself because Olympics, it's a game where all champions meet, and me being one of them, it makes me feel so proud of myself. Though I've lost the match, but I didn't lose hope. I think it has motivated me higher to go to the next level for the coming next Olympics.
Quite interesting. Well, wait to go, Nanzidi, and we still support you as Uganda. In more sports stories, the Tokyo Olympics delivered a day of high drama on Sunday with a stunning surprise in the pool. One of the great David Vass's Goliath cycling victories and double sibling judo gold as Japan continued their golden start. The host nation bagged skateboarding's first gold medal courtesy of Yuto Horigom, then saw Utabe and her brother Hifumi make history as the first siblings to win gold medals in different events on the same day in any sport. With swimmer Ohashi also victorious, Japan's overall gold medal tally rose to 5, 1 behind China and 1 ahead of the United States. Tunisia are unlikely to add to their solitary gold, but no medal of the games will be celebrated more widely than that, and via the astounding achievement of 18-year-old Ahmed Hafnau, who stunned the swimming superpowers with victory from lane 8 in the men's 400 meters freestyle. It's a dream and it became true. It was my best race ever, Hafnau said in an Olympic-level understatement after he held off heavily fenced Australian Jack and American Kieran Smith despite qualifying slowest for the final. Hafnau received the ultimate validation as American medal machine Michael Phelps, the greatest swimmer in history, labeled his performance as unbelievable swim. The difference between these Olympics and the past is that every single person in the final has a chance of winning gold, says Phelps. Well, for UBC News tonight at exactly 8 p.m. to 8:30, that's all we had for you for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to watch. Stay tuned for more programming coming your way. We still have more news coming up at 10 p.m. and do join us once again. My name is Sharon Kyomugisa with Mugalu Mohammed. On sign language.